Okay.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Bomb.
Don't make me giggle before I have to do the intro. Hello and welcome to Adamana Podcast. We are a healing podcast for World of Warcraft. And on the last episode we talked about the changes that were coming to 5.3, and now it's been a few weeks since 5.3 came out, so we thought we would talk about how we're faring in 5.3 and maybe rant about other random stuff.
Oh, the renting.
I'm sorry, I'm back.
I love that Vol'jin is like a main part in this now. I mean, Vol'jin for War Chief, 2013.
Vol'jin.
That would be awesome.
I love Vol'jin.
Agreed.
Vol'jin's awesome. I really do hope he at least has a pivotal part, even if he's not War Chief, like senior advisor like he used to be. At the very least. I mean, I can understand them from a lore point. They want to keep it an orc War Chief, like Sourfang or something, but Vol'jin certainly should play a major part in this.
It's kind of hard to explain, like, the reason a lot of people like Vol'jin, but, like, one of my friends put it, he is the quintessential good bad guy. From an Alliance point of view.
Pretty much. I can say that.
He's currently like that one Horde leader that I don't want to hurt as an Alliance player.
He's a troll. How can you hate trolls?
Well, I don't want to hurt Sylvanas Windrunner either. I think she's awesome. I mean, she's pure unbridled evil, but she's awesome.
Do you think she's awesome, or do you think she's hot?
Can she be both?
No.
Yes.
Well, why not?
The correct answer. You're actually wrong.
I think she can be both.
Well,
My love for Vol'jin isn't exactly innocent.
okay, so
Uh-huh.
I want to pose a question to you guys and to everybody in the chat room. If you could pick one leader of a group, so Kieran, Tor, Jaina, anything, in all of Warcraft, from Warcraft 1 RTS to World of Warcraft, and all the lore, to be your all-time favorite, who would you pick?
Vol'jin.
Me! Oh, wait.
I do
I'm an
like
option, right?
Alexstrasza as well.
I love Alexstrasza. I like her name.
Entered channel.
I would pick
Probably Sylvanas Windrunner.
I would probably pick not Malagos, but Caligos, or no, whoever's the Blue Dragonflight leader in Dragon Soul.
Caligos
Yes,
or Malagos?
Calicos.
Caligos.
He's just so like innocent. I have no idea what I'm doing. Type
And
of.
then he loses all his powers. I am all powerful, and now I have nothing.
Hey, Winnie, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Hi there.
Hello.
I should expand the screen region to include our Winnie. Everybody say hi to Winnie.
Hi, Winnie.
Hi, Winnie.
Thank you.
So, Winnie, if you could choose one leader, all of Warcraft lore, to be your favorite, who would you pick?
Ooh. Definitely not King Chan. Okay, who was the guy with the bronze dragon? I am not a lore nerd, but he is the one. Yes. He looks the best with his shirt off, so that's my pick.
You mean when they reworked his model and everything and made him all pretty?
I love how the reasons for, like, Blue and Milk and Winnie and possibly Joe, they're all like, well, I like him for this reason, and it's completely not because of lore-wise.
No, Sylvanas Windrunner as a character is actually pretty interesting in the fact
Yeah, I
that
love Sylvanas.
she's not, like, outright evil and not outright good by any shot. Like, you got freaking Thrall, who's like the freaking Mary Jane can do no wrong type of deal, and he's very boring as a character to me anyway. Like, I liked him in Warcraft 3. I don't care for him so much in WoW.
Fuck Green Jesus. Really? Boring.
But, like, you got Sylvanas, she's just looking out for the best of her people, and she'll do whatever it takes, even if that means plaguing all the things. And
I do like
to the point where she's
Sylvanas.
almost becoming a Lich Queen in her own right, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I have to admit that is one of the main reasons that I do. I do like Sylvanas. Don't get me wrong. I'm just, like, teasing you more, Blue. And that is one of the reasons why. And not only that, as a leader, she has the most character development throughout the entire lore process.
she's a strong leader. She's not like you got Bane, who's kind of almost skulking about a bit, and he's been very slow to do anything. But like you got Sylvanas is like, oh, you say don't do this, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna cover it up well and keep going because it's for my people. Like Garrosh and her have been at odds since Cataclysm, and that's just how it's been.
Garrosh and her have been at odds since before Cataclysm. They've been at odds since Lich King, if you actually listen to a lot of it.
Well, yeah, because of the whole plaguing incident and then the betrayal and what. That wasn't even her fault, but of course he's also very racist, because if you're not at work, you're inferior.
Well, going on and kind of stemming from this little bit of lore chat, how are you guys faring in the Returns of Barons chat?
I did it once and haven't been back.
Barons chat.
I haven't even started it.
I enjoy the Barons chat. It was one of the reasons why I leveled Horde Tunes back in the, before pre-Cataclysm days. Now that it's back, it's fun to just sit there. And you actually are getting the people who are bringing back the original Barons chat. Like, where should I level at level 18?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So hey Sam, you want to start talking about the small, minute amount of healing changes here, since we got people asking for it?
Well, let's go on with PvP healing first, since that's what a lot of us were just doing before the show.
Love it!
So, now that there's a base resilience of 65%, is it easier to go in and raid gear and heal, or should you still get PvP gear?
Okay, so as we were just doing this, I was in full raid gear, not a single piece of PvP gear, not even a trinket, because I'm bad and have only Windwalker gear. I think I did okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I did okay. So if like you're full out like LFR raid gear, you will do fine in LFR. You won't really be holding your team back unless you're facing an entire team of PvP gear with some coordination. Because of how the PvP power is now, you're going to want to go after your main stat, which for healers, intellect, 9 times out of 10. So you'll actually fare okay. Obviously, upgrading to like tyrannical PvP gear will give you that slight edge.
Yeah, just through PvP power, because that does help the healing. But as we could see, if you're queuing, I mean, first off, I wouldn't queue for PvP unless I was queuing with friends, whether they were DPS or healers. But just, you go in and you get any more than one healer in a battleground, and they start healing each other, then you're pretty much immortal unless they can CC one and burst the other down.
But if they're
which, as we saw, doesn't happen
because they couldn't kill me.
Yeah. Plus, you had your meta gem proccing, so.
Yeah, the BT dubs, all healers. If you get your healer meta gem, it is active during random battlegrounds. I don't know if it works for rated or arenas, but for random it does, and it's kind of funny. Because I was just like, oh, mana gem proc, surging mist, oh, it procced again, yay!
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Judge, the only problem with that is the only one who's actually healed Phase 3 Heroic Lei Shen is currently AFK up in the channel above us. So we'll try to get him down to talk about that, and see if he can.
He's in game if you want me to ask him.
Yes, whisper him and tell him we have a heroic Phase 3 Lei Shen question. And that's actually, pretty much all of the healer change. There was really, other than the atonement change that we talked about last episode, there wasn't many.
You had the raid cooldown changes too, which, in all honesty, because I'm a 10-man raider, so it didn't affect me too much, but in LFR, it's funny to watch my revival heal. Instead of, like, it did, 10% of the entire raid's health, it does, 50% of the entire raid's health. And it just means more
actually, increasing the cap on those cooldowns is a pretty big deal.
Yes, I agree.
Hey, miss. So, somebody wants you to talk about Heroic Lei Shen, Phase 3.
Phase 3? What about it?
They want you to talk about the healing in it.
My guild has personally not made it to Phase 3 yet, but I know I have a pretty good grasp on the fight.
Then talk about
it. Okay, so I don't know how much this person or whoever wants to know knows about Legend, but all that really happens is the fight is not that different from normal mode. Everything's virtually the same, except the pillars that you deactivate in Phase 1 and 2 basically reactivate in Phase 3, while the other two deactivate. So In Phase 3, you have Bouncing Bolts and Static Shock, in addition to everything else he does in Phase 3. Which naturally puts more stresses on the healers. So, for us, I know we have a lot of classes that can just negate the Static Shock. Like with most classes have something like that where they can either bubble or diffuse magic or zen med or something. So you basically do the phase the same, except you have people who get Static Shock run immune, come back in, and then you have a set number of people who go out to catch the bouncing bolt. And the only big difference is something you start dealing with in Phase 2, which is the little, like, the bouncing balls that come out in Phase 2. You have to grip them and stun them and kill them down, because if they start jumping, they kill you. Because they do a ton of damage. It's ridiculous. But Phase 3 is really not that different. But it is probably arguably the more difficult part of the fight.
And Interior said that it helps if you have healers that can heal while moving.
Of course. That's why, like, monks and druids and all that fun stuff are really good. I mean, we're still working on it.
Needs a holy priest.
I guess. I don't really care about priests, but we all know that. Yeah. I mean, I assume someone else who isn't me could explain it better. But, yeah. I don't know if that answered anything. But the healing, from what I gather, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, is pretty intense, I guess. But as long as people play well and they don't, like, mess up basic mechanics that you've been dealing with for the whole fight, it's not too bad. Though, rumor has it tanks can get gibbed pretty easily, which should be fun. Mm-hmm. And that's all I have to say on it, because I'm trying to block out most ablations so that I don't, like, kill myself during progression.
Have you had bad experiences with Lation?
Yeah, because for some reason, even though literally everything's been the same as on normal, we've just kind of forgotten that we know how to do the mechanic. So we had to basically relearn the first transition and relearn the first phase. It was stupid. But, I mean, our big problem is the fact that we're dealing with Helm of Command with one Warlock. And dealing with that with one Warlock is basically torture. So, yeah. Fun times.
Well, I know they don't tune heroics the same way that they do normal derp. That's a stupid statement. But, I mean, around class stacking, it's okay to class stack. It's expected. But should you really have to have more than one Warlock?
You don't really need more than one Warlock. Like, as long as people have a speed boost, like Tiger's Lust or Dash or whatever.
Angelic Feathers.
Mm-hmm, as long as you have stuff like that, you can survive. But the thing is, it gets a little bit more hairy. And it's just much easier to have a Warlock portal near the edge to click to just shoot you right back to the beginning so that you don't die. I know for me, anytime I get Helm of Command, I get really scared. Because, people will take damage, and I'm trying to, A, not die, and B, heal 5 people at the same time. And I'm getting shoved off the platform, and I start, like, going into panic mode. But it's really not that bad anymore. I'm getting the hang of it. So, having, like, for the one pull that I had a Warlock pull, everything was just so easy, because I just knew that I wasn't going to have any problems. And then, when I didn't have the Warlock portal, I got sad, and I just, like, cried a little bit, so...
Did you die a little on the inside?
On the inside,
outside.
hell.
It's a fun fight, though. I mean, fun isn't as fun as normal mode was. So, I'm a little bit more excited about, like, Reddit, personally. Because it's just stand there and heal. Mm-hmm. Is that it? don't have anything else to say on this.
Woo! Okay.
That was a really horrible transition.
Yeah, I had no idea how to transition that.
Whatever works.
So let's talk about rating, I guess. Since that's what we were pretty much. Item upgrades. That was another thing that was added in with 5.3. Finally be able to, use that extra valor that you can't spend on gear anymore to upgrade your gear.
Yes. I like that they lower the price so much so you can fully upgrade 2 items per week.
I like that
Which is very nice.
lowered the cost on it, but most 10-man guilds and most 25-man guilds have that flex healer that does both, and in my case that would be me. And I'm still spending valor on stuff for my shadow spec or stuff for my holy spec long after everybody's done, so I don't get to use it.
Milk, I'm the exact same way. I have to gear up 3 specs because I'm swinging from Windwalker to Brewmaster to Mistweaver all the time. So I have had very little time to actually upgrade, and most of it has been to that. Like, my GM asked me, he's like, why haven't you upgraded like X many pieces? I'm like, I spend all my valor gearing up my stuff. So yeah, that's always fun. But yeah, I do like that it is cheaper. And the good news is I should be going back to straight up Mistweaver soon, like next month. I'm pretty excited.
The issue for me is my Alliance healer is still relatively new, so I'm still trying to buy pieces for my main spec, let alone my off spec for healing.
It's not that new. It's not that new.
Well,
it's newer than yours is.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but she's still only 1 item level point lower than I am.
Overall, you're still, like, equipped way higher than I am.
Do more LF. Well, then again, I've had some really good.
I can't.
I've had some really good luck with RNG. I will admit that.
RNG hates me.
So,
like, seriously.
Yeah, I will admit I've had a lot of really good luck when it's come to both LFR, and I've gotten 2 pieces out of heroic caches that were 5/16. So until I can replace them with some TOT regular gear, then they're pretty good pieces as well. I will admit I've been spending a lot of my valor on some elemental gear as well, just so there could be nights where Milk didn't have to be a swing healer. But
you're so sweet.
I know, I try.
I know, right? Like every
You're gonna
time,
let me heal.
Every time they ask,
Let a
they're
healer
like,
heal.
the Holy Paladin is like, well, no, because then I would need 2 total different sets of gear, and the priests are all like, no, we're holy and disc, we can't have a shadow spec. And I'm like, what's up, bitches?
I have 2 sets, and I'm holy in disc, or holy in shadow.
One of these days, they're gonna add in that you'll be able to have a spec of every single spec that you're able to have on on your class.
I wish they would do it now.
It would go from double spec to triple spec.
Yeah, and like, I use both my specs for the good of the guild, although I do enjoy having my shadow spec to make dailies not so, I'm trying to look for a way to say this.
Painful?
Yeah, painful. So I enjoy having that, but, yeah, I use both for the good of the guild, so when people are, like, talking about their PvP spec and whatever, I just, like, cry a little on the inside. Not that I would PvP, even if I had a spec free to do it in.
Yeah, that's all my role's always been in my guild. Like, even in Dragon Soul, for example, I changed tunes about 4 times through the entire progression of it, because I was always that flexible person who could just switch to whatever we needed for our guild. And that's been no different. Just this expansion, I made the caveat that it will be my monk. So I've been changing specs on my monk, like, it's cool.
Yeah, I was the same way back in Dragon Soul. By the time we hit farm content farming Dragon Soul for however long we were, I was just a raider. I wasn't a healer or a DPS or a tank. I was whatever my group needed that night.
Yeah, and I don't mean to QQ about it, because the fact is, if I don't get to DPS occasionally, especially on farm content where there's nothing to heal, and we have like 8 healers coming with us because they all want gear and they all want to heal, I start getting a little emo if I don't get to DPS.
I'd like to see you emo with that UI of yours.
Yeah,
it's very difficult.
Emo with UI.
Honestly, I miss the days where I would swap back and forth between different tunes depending on what the raid needed. Because I had the druid for stats, and I had the druid for flat-out healing, and I had the priest, which had some abilities that were needed back then.
Do you have a picture of your UI, Winnie? They're asking for one in the chat.
It's very pink.
It is very pink. But I will admit, I do like Milk as Shadow, just because that Vampiric Embrace is a pretty nice raid cooldown. So.
Did it do much healing when I used it? I didn't even notice.
It, combined with my Healing Rain, actually helped on an entire Lightning Storm for Jinrock.
Yeah, I saved all my burst DPS spells for that.
Heal all the things. And I think that pretty much covers 5.3, just from our reflections on it, because I know we tried to talk about a little bit about it last episode, but a lot of us didn't get into the PTR to actually try things out.
Well, there wasn't much to try out either.
Yeah, there wasn't.
It was it wasn't meant to be a big raid content patch, and usually to go along with that, they don't have big changes to classes, and they've come out and said themselves, less people test that content than they test the raid content.
Yeah,
so you're not going to see as many healer changes.
And I do agree.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think the next raid tier is going to be like?
Lots of AoE healing.
We get to punch Garrosh in the face.
God, I hope so. I was going to walk up to him, slap him. That's what I want to do. I don't care that I'm squishy and I'm a priest. I'm going to walk up to him and slap him.
I mean, next tier is going to be...
I'll unequip my weapon just to do that.
Next tier is going to be ICC. It's going to be freaking constant raid damage. Spam all the things.
And that's pretty much already what it's going to be pretty much another Dragon Soul. There's going to be a lot of AoE damage. There's going to be a lot of stacking phases. There's going to be a lot of making shamans look good, even though their problems aren't addressed. There's going to be a lot of monks on the top of meters.
One of the big issues I think I just foresee, I've talked a little bit about this with other people, is the legendary metagem. For like monks and some other classes, spirit's already becoming relatively obsolete. Like, you just don't need any more of it, and the metagem just makes it worse.
Speak for yourself.
And well, obviously, Holy Priest slightly different. However, for most other healing classes, we're going to have to be balanced around that metagem, especially top tier, as unless you're just changing into like a new tune or something, you're probably going to have that meta or very close to it before the next tier pops.
That really worries me, because if people are re-rolling or going to healing or just hit 90 because they took a break from the game for whatever reason, healers are going to be balanced around that meta, and I'm really hoping they're not going to do that to normal modes, because you are going to be screwed if you don't have it next tier.
Well, even balancing it for heroic modes, it's just going to be like, because they're supposedly don't balance it so you bring the player, not the class thing, and they want more people to see their content. And I just feel like balancing around it's a bad idea. That said, if they do make it so that next tier you can't have it in your helm, for the next tier of gear, we're just going to end up keeping Heroic Thunderforged from this tier, which is also another issue I see.
And going on with what you're talking about and your concerns, Winnie, they've also made it a lot easier to get through the first few parts of that legendary quest. They upped the drop chance of the sigils of wisdom and power and a hotfix, 5.2 hotfix. They nerfed the chain of command boss so much that it could probably be soloed by certain classes now.
And you only need 3,000 Valor now.
Exactly, you only need 3,000 Valor in order to do that Valor quest. So
Thank God.
It's just been so much easier to get to the point that where you're about to get your metagem, and not even that, but I think somewhere in a hotfix they've also upped Motes of Harmony chances in certain areas, so that I got the Trillium quest, and literally that day I had over half my Trillium and a quarter of my Secrets of the Empire.
Now, when are they going to freaking nerf the Secrets of the Empire and Titan Runestone? Because I don't know about you,
Titan
but the drop
Runestones.
rates are the freaking retarded. Like, it angers me when I look at it.
Yes.
Well, I think if I did my math correctly on the drop chances, it's about a 3% chance to get a Secret of the Empire per boss. Now, that depends on if you have good RNG or not. But what I want to know is if you don't get one on a boss, does it, like, loot up your chance to get one the next time you down that boss? Or does it stay the same? Well,
it stays the same. That's only for LFR loot type of deal.
Well, I know that, but I know a lot of people who are doing both regular to try and get it, as well as doing their LFR every week, because then you have twice the chance.
No, you don't. You get one chance a week no matter what difficulty you kill the boss. So if you go and kill all the bosses before you raid normal
for secrets?
On LFR, yes, for secrets and Titan Runestones, you get one chance a week, no matter what difficulty you do it in.
And I believe the drop chance is slightly higher if it's normal or heroic versus LFR, which is why I go through the just horror of late week LFR.
I foresee RNG screw me over a lot.
RNG is just a bitch.
Well, like, you got, like, we've been clearing up to Lation on normal since, what was it, like, the third week, and we've got people who still are, like, at 12 secrets of the Empire.
I was stuck on my freaking sigils forever.
Yeah.
I'm just now on the Valor.
I have people who have been on that first part of the legendary quests longer than I was, and I'm close to my meta now. And they're still stuck on sigils. And I kind of want to laugh, because they're the ones who were making fun of me, because I wasn't really doing LFRs to get sigils, but I also feel really bad for them because they're still trying to get sigils.
Right. I like that they made it so it's not required that you run both LFR and normal for sigils or whatnot. That's kind of nice, but at the same time I feel like they should have maybe buffed the drop rate on them so that it's not so miserable getting them even as a normal mode raider. Like, it's just,
Ian says in chat that sigils of power don't exist. For me, it's the wisdoms that didn't exist.
I actually got Sigils of Power, all 10 of them, within 3 weeks.
I've gotten all of, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember, it's one or the other, but I think I have all of the powers. I got 9 wisdoms and 15 powers in 1 week on my druid.
Now, see, it would be nice if they made the Sigils account bound. That would be another way to make it easier for tunes that you're leveling up afterwards to get to the meta and all that, if they made those sigils account bound instead of soul bound to the character, because I could pretty much fill out both my hunter and probably half of my Mistweaver that I'm leveling up with just the sigils that I have on my shaman.
Are you kidding? I would transfer tunes just for that reason, if they did that.
So, I don't know what's going on in chat because I'm, like, actually leveling this little alt here. But I did want to talk about trinkets this tier briefly. Now, I know we all know that the inscribed bag of shit is just that, and the other one is worse. But I wanted to ask, first of all, how many of you have gotten your version of Horidons?
No,
whatever
I
version.
I have
a normal one.
So, our Resto Druid this week just got the heroic Horidon trinket off her bonus roll. This same Resto Druid gets out-healed by a Windwalker, a Mistweaver monk, straight out DPSing bosses and not healing anything, and I'm not talking about a damage-buffed boss. So...
Oh, Lord.
Hey,
and I still don't have one. This bitch needs to die. And I mean that in a loving and supportive way, but this bitch needs to die.
Hey, Winnie, I'm still rocking the inscribed bag of Hydra shit.
Yeah.
I have it because I was Shadow last year, so...
Hey, Dark Moon Fair is coming this week.
I have the LFR version of Horidons, and I have the Shadowpan, potion.
Yeah, I have the normal inscribed bag of shit and the Valor trinket. And I did want to point out that Mist noticed that the lightning imbued chalice proc rate has been kind of stealth nerfed. Like, it lowered the
I noticed it on mine too.
Dayani also noticed that too, so
That's because Mist pointed out to her.
Yeah, but I mean, she went and ran numbers and was like, yeah, that's
So what's up with that? Was there any kind of like information put out about that by Blizzard?
I didn't see anything.
Why did they do that?
I didn't see anything in the patch notes, but Blizzard has been known to stealth nerf things before, and literally people will see this and be like, what the fuck?
We have a question in chat.
How do you guys feel about the Shaman and V? Bugs?
Vampiric Embrace.
Oh,
It was healing for several minutes.
Bugs of the first day of 5.3. I was a healing god the first day of 5.3. I mean, I literally was. And I like the chain. I like what we had to... What happened with chain heal, because I think that would make a lot more sense if it bounced through people that had full health. But healing rain, not having any diminishing returns, or there was someone with full health in it, literally, shamans were healing gods for that one day. And then Vampiric Embrace was just OP. Beautifully OP, but OP nonetheless.
I still miss the Wrath version of VE.
Yeah, that would be a lot easier for a Shadow Priest.
I can understand why they changed it.
Well, how are you doing with Atonement, Joe?
It's nerfed, but I haven't had any issues. According to Jazz, every time they nerf me, my HPS goes up, so apparently I'm an anomaly.
Well, have you been seeing, like, a reduction of your overhealing because of the nerf?
Yeah, but, I knew that was gonna happen. But overall...
Joe is an outlier.
Yes, I'm an outlier. I haven't noticed anything bad, honestly.
She's the Disc Priest to rule all Disc Priests.
Something like that. Where's my ring?
So how much of the time are you guys spending doing bubble? Like, how much of your healing is coming from Powered Shield?
Like 30%. It's honestly quite a bit.
Wow.
Bubble all the things. It's kinda... Well, I say kinda. It's... Between our mana regen and having the meta gem now, it's kind of ridiculous how much we can spam bubble, but that's already been brought up to Ghostcrawler, and as I'm sure Tyrael has told everyone, his reply was it takes more finesse to bubble shield than it does to spam Prayer of Healing, so apparently we're supposed to be doing this.
Which is funny because they were saying they didn't want that at all. They said that at the beginning of the expansion, like, we don't want Disc Priest to go back to bubble spamming, and here we are. Well, it's better than Prayer of Healing spamming.
We are, I'm telling you, and I'm not really literally trying to bubble spam. It's just naturally what's occurring. I'm sure I could get a lot higher than 30%, but even 30% is where minimal effort is taking me. It's pretty ridiculous.
Is there a specific secondary stat priority build that you use to be bubble spamming like that?
I change my stat priorities all the time, but the most recent one is going high mastery. I've got like 30% mastery. And then a little bit of haste to get my cast times where I want them for my actual spells, and then the rest into crit. And after the show, I can show you guys a log of Toast the other night, which was kind of funny but alarming at the same time.
So another one for you guys who raid with the Holy Paladin. Do any of the Holy Paladin changes, or do Holy Paladins feeling less powerful with them?
The one Holy Paladin that I know that raids says that he was a little concerned at first, but with a few tweaks to his build, he feels completely fine.
I know my Holy Paladin that we raid with, we have no problems with him. He actually just out-heals everything like he always does, because he's God. So, yeah, there was no problems. The only thing I've noticed is his Illuminated Healing does slightly less healing. And I legitimately mean slightly.
Yeah, I mean, not between that and he's noticed that his Mastery Absorbs don't last as long. But that's given, considering the Mastery nerf that they took.
When was the last time a Holy Paladin were bad?
You're robot roboting.
You're roboting.
You're roboting. Relog, you're roboting.
But yeah,
I always knew that when he was a robot.
secretly a robot.
She tried hiding it, but she failed.
Yeah, the Holy Paladin nerf did not require as much QQing and we're sucking now threads that hit the forums.
They're not. They're still good at everything.
Hell, most
Like,
of the nerfs that people get hit with don't require the QQ threads. Sorry.
Yeah, the nerfs that were put out were definitely not going to game break anything, and anyone who is half skilled at those classes that got nerfed are still doing fantastic, and they're not hurting. And people who are still QQ that discs overpowered, again, are overhealing content. It's really that simple. They have their niche. If you're not using them to their fullest, you're not doing it correctly. So in your 3 healing normals, and you're like, wow, that Resto Druid is doing less than the tanks, you might want to consider dropping the Resto Druid and making him go DPS or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not really.
Bubble all the things?
Yeah.
Just look at your logs and...
Do you see? 30% of it is coming from shield. And that's, like I said, that's not going to bubble everything and suppress everybody. That was just what I was normally doing. I'm actually tempted to actually try and see how high I can get it, but Jazz may kill me in my sleep if I do that.
That's insane. You're 30% on Power Word Shield, and then your next highest was another absorption.
Mm-hmm.
That really is insane, Joe.
I can't wait for my meta then.
I know. I want meta.
I want my meta too, but I need Trillium, and...
I always yell at my Disc Priest partner when he says, if I say I have something, he's like, oh, I want that. And I always tell him to shut up because he has the meta and the trinket that I want, so he can shove it.
I agree, Ian. When I was subbing for you that one night, just being a tank healer, there was really... Oh, that's a bite. Heal you the full, and then wait for a minute for something to do. That's pretty much how that happened for a tank healer, Joe.
Alright, next question is, do you think Druids will see a serious rework this expansion or in 6.0?
Druids and Mistweavers, I definitely think we'll see some reworks. Maybe not complete and total class change for Druids, but they need something if they want to keep them. I'm trying to think of a good way to say it. In high-end guilds, they use them a lot because they have a lot of throughput. It's just you actually have to know how to use that throughput properly. That said, they're easily outclassed by a Mistweaver monk because it's like having a Resto Druid, but now they have burst healing capability.
Yeah. You know, it's... Now, do I think they're going to get some work during this expansion? Possibly. Do I think they need some work? Probably. I don't think we're going to see any major class changes until the launch of another expansion, if we get another one. Just because that's when Blizzard actually does the bulk of their... Welcome back, Winnie. That's when Blizzard does the bulk of their class changes, is at the start of an expansion. Or the expansion patch, as they're called. So, whatever point out. Which would be 6.0 for another one.
Like, I see Resto Druids might get a good bit of reworking. And I see monks getting reworked a lot, too. I honestly think Windwalker monks are the only monks that won't get reworked in some way. Like, heavy reworking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is because I'm biased or not. I would like to see a few things to help shamans with their spread healing, but I do know shamans have their niche, and I'm happy to stay in that niche as long as people stop berating me for playing one.
See, you'll never
Shaman,
get
you're really
benched.
horrible for playing Shaman.
You're the raid leader, so unless you're going to bench yourself, you're safe.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean more of the whole... I get really upset when people, especially on the forums, when I go to look at OT thread, and 8 or 9 Shaman Suck reroll threads have popped up in the matter of 10 hours.
How do you think I feel? How many disc threads have there been?
I know.
So much QQ.
Yep.
Now everyone's like, oh my god, Holy for Life. And I was like, I was Holy for Life before it was popular. Shut
Yeah,
up.
I saw when you said that. You said now it's actually too popular. I'm gonna
I'm
reroll
gonna
this.
reroll disc.
Hipster much? See, now I just see you with like the black glasses and a cup of coffee. I was holy before it was popular.
Yeah, I was holy
know.
before it was cool, okay? So, y'all go back to being disc. Stop it.
I've been holy since Wrath.
So, as we wait for other questions, I would just like to, tell you guys and tell the chat about my Mistweaver fun I had. I'm leveling a Mistweaver up through. I'm in Miss Pandaria now, and I'm finally seeing mastery orbs hit the ground because bosses aren't dying within a matter of seconds. And I was running Temple of the Jade Serpent, 2 Death Knights, a tank and a DPS, and the tank is actually doing good. He's actually running through my orbs to heal himself, which is making me happy, because it's letting me fist weave more than, actually misweaving, and yeah. And the Death Knight DPS sat there and went, you shouldn't be touching the green orbs, they damage you.
Wait, what?
That's something I'd expect, like, day one of the expansion, not, hey guys, we're almost looking at the next expansion.
To which the tank replied, are you retarded or just a moron?
Blue, you have a question in chat.
How do you feel about the
9158 breakpoint?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know how to say that.
I'm currently like sitting at 518 Mistweaver gear because I pass everything our DPS because that's how I play. But definitely with more gear, if you look at Suplift, he's already geared for that, and he can't effectively gear any lower than that. So as we're looking at heroic gear, and then definitely next tier, we're going to want to go for that breakpoint because it's almost impossible without entirely screwing yourself over not to get that breakpoint. And then even beyond that, we might be seeing more higher breakpoints, the 12,000 something. I can't remember off the top of my head. We might be seeing that one on our next tier as well. But other than that, crit will still be the best for us because crit scales really, really well with our Renewing Mist, which as we get more ticks with it, obviously makes it even better. But I'd say like about 535, you're probably just going to want to go ahead and get it because your gear will probably won't allow you to do it unless you like all mastery pieces or something.
So I'm looking at his gear. He has Thunderforge Hordon's last gasp.
I hate you.
I hate him too.
I mean this in a loving, supportive way, but he needs to go fuck himself.
He needs to go die in a fire. So we're sacrificing your Druid, Eco, and Suplift, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep a list.
I'm good with
Let us know
I'm
if you
taking
have
volunteers.
Let us know if you have anybody in your raid group that needs to be sacrificed to Horadon, because we will totally do it. So we could get our gear. But that's
Our list is growing.
Just don't sacrifice me, please.
or me.
Dargan, you are going to be sacrificed to Horadon too. I finally got a group together to get into Throne of Thunder on my Shaman instead of my Hunter bugging it, and with Milk and my boyfriend over on Joe's server and all that, and we get in there and we down Jinrock, 3 pools, which is pretty good in my book, and then of course you have the brick wall that is Horadon, which is where the whole I want to sacrifice people to Horadon in order to down him comes from.
Well, that mainly comes from, that too, but it comes from people wanting trinkets. And I will let me say something. Like 2 weeks ago, his healing trinket dropped and Ian didn't roll on it, so it defaulted to me. But I think it was a plot because this week the Thunderforge version dropped, so Ian got that. So I think he wasn't really being nice giving me that trinket. He just knew the Thunderforge one was going to drop. So I think he cheated me.
He called Ghostcrawler and had them make the Thunderforge one drop.
Yes, it was a plot. So he's not very nice.
Don't you love it when you're gearing or you're complaining about something like you do, and somebody just says, "Oh, well, you should just get your legendary meta. You should just get Horadon's last gasp," and you're like, "You should just
Shut the hell up.
Yeah."
It's like if I could get it, I would.
oh, it's that easy. I just haven't been. It's been dropping every week. I just didn't want it.
We need a swear jar now, I think.
I'm the same exact way, Winnie. I used to have people, they would be getting their trinkets and be like, oh, I'm so jealous you have this trinket. Well, why don't you get it? You're downing the boss consistently. Do you think it's dropping and I'm just not rolling on it? How do you think this works?
No, it's dropping and you're disenchanting it.
Or the whole, you should just get your meta gem. Why do you think I'm working on it? If I could just snap my fingers and get it, I think it would be good. So, there we go. That's why Sups isn't here. He's throwing up. That's okay, Sups. Winnie replaced you for today.
He can come on as long as he's not going to be making gagging noises and mumble.
We have a question on
Then I'll
Twitter.
be sick.
On Twitter, ooh.
Ooh.
Mike says, does it bother healers that a good prop pally in the right fight can out-heal them through passive heal?
Nope.
Bothers the living shit out of me. If I get beat by a tank, I am so mad.
It means I can just keep DPSing.
Really good Death Knights were able to do that last expansion. I mean, that's not even new. My honestly biggest gripe with that, quote unquote, replacing a healer is just the kind of push away from 3 healers in 10-man to 2 in a 10-man. Because like if you get the swing healer, i.e. me, you're basically pushed to DPSing all the time.
And the reason that we swing is because we want to do both. Wait, that's not. I didn't mean it like. Damn it.
Oh,
Stop
Winnie
looking at
swings.
me like that, honey. Jesus.
I'm over here giggling now. Thank you, Winnie.
Honestly, if a paladin's doing more passive heals than I am in the long run, it lets me save my mana for burst phases. That's how I feel about it.
And that's something you got to look at too. A lot of people, when they're evaluating healers, especially, they don't look at, well, this is when the healing actually mattered. They just look, oh, the Disc Priest was out healing you entirely on Megara, but then you go look at Megara and you look at the logs, it's like, oh, well, this healer spiked ridiculously during rampages. During all other times, he just wasn't there because the Disc Priest soaked all the things.
And that brings us to meters, which is something I wanted to talk about.
That
feel like
thread.
That's why I
In
wanted to talk.
sarcasm.
I'm not talking about that. Yeah, in sarcasm.
That's what I wanted to talk about. When it comes to meters, and I just want to stress this a little bit, you can't really look at meters for an overall fight. You need to look at when there's actually damage going out. If there's a fight where there's intense damage all the way around, fine. But if you have fights where you have a healer that can literally just stand there and cast the heal every now and then and do almost nothing until a burst phase comes, you can't really look at you can't really look at it for the entire fight. You need to look for just those burst points.
Yeah, it's really nice to look at it in World of Logs and see that cute little line graph, and here's where the damage was, and here's what you were doing, and here's what you were doing because you were because you were busy sniping everybody during the low damage phase.
I mean, Megara, the few times I was subbing for Ian on that one night that we were in there, I could pretty much stand there, heal both tanks up through breath, stand there again, and then when Rampage comes, I would top the meters for the entire Rampage, and then drop again for whatever happened with during the low damage breath phases. And that's one of the things where you really have to look at is if you have a healer that's consistently keeping your raid up or using their cooldowns effectively, I would rather take them even if they were lower on the meters than somebody who was topping the meters consistently, because that just screams snipe fest in my head. And then you get Joe, and I would take Joe just because it's Joe.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hey, Shammy. Kind of makes me want to go as Smite Chakra our next raid and just define him all burst.
Be my guest. If it keeps us alive, I'm happy.
It's lots of fun.
I think you're right. I'm excited now. I'm going to do that.
Does something pretty fun. Almost makes me want to go holy as my elf.
Smite
I have
Chakra,
Lightwell up for one, and then Divine him, and then Lightwell again.
Light Spring.
Lightwell.
You know, that reminds me, I would really love to unglyph that because we kind of are overhealing all the things, just how our roster is shaking out at the moment. So nobody's ever sub 50%, hardly ever anyway. But then I would have to make people click on it, and they would just stand there with their thumbs up their asses. And it would make me sad.
But I have the light well buddy. Everyone loves my light well buddy.
I click the light well, but I tend to only remember to do it when I don't actually need healing because it amuses me.
I click the light well when I don't need it because of the amusement.
Amusing messages.
I need to get the light well buddy for my priest, and then I need you to send me what you send because I just want it. 'Cause I think it's just fun.
Hers is awesome.
Brilliant.
I love mine. Like, I had 2 dungeons in a row, and it was bizarre because everyone in the dungeons were clicking the light well, except for the one dungeon, which was a priest that was not clicking it.
The priest had light well jealousy.
Apparently. But, like, the warrior would use his heroic leap to get to the light well and then charge back, and I was like, what is this? What's going on?
Oh, we have a question. Do we use activity time on World of Logs to judge new healing recruits?
It depends on the class and spec, because like a disc priest, because of the way it records when we cast under Spirit Shell, our activity level is going to look very low by comparison to other healers. But that aside, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But then, like, you look at other healers, and like she's saying, depends on the healer entirely. Like, if you look at a Mistweaver monk, and they're not active, like, 100% of the time, there's probably something wrong.
Right.
And if it was a holy priest, I would look more at, like we were saying, that line graph of where's the damage happening and what are they doing at that point. That's much more valuable because really, you know, if everybody's floating between 80 and 100%, I leave that to somebody else unless I'm feeling just really super snipey that day.
Let the Druid Hots do it.
I mean,
Mushroom all the things.
like Ian said, I look at World of Logs more to look for CD usage, cooldown usage, regen, uptimes on certain abilities that need to be kept up,
Harmony.
things like that.
Harmony.
Yeah.
Like my Druid.
What's Harmony?
Gosh.
Your druid probably feels that way. What's harmony?
Did you guys see somebody posted a Mogashan Vaults day the other day, and the druid had like 17% uptime on Harmony. I'm like,
Is my Druid?
so
So does Blue.
What?
It's
What
my
were they
I
doing?
really the blue.
It's a Druid in my group? Because that's, I think, one of our Horde on attempts had that little bit.
It was
Yeah, I was
just-
looking through his logs.
I will have to look. That's pretty bad. But yeah, somebody posted and they're like, "Are our healers a problem?" And I'm like, and most of his healing came from healing touch. Life Bloom had a sub 50% uptime.
Healing
How is this
touch.
possible?
Harmony was super low, and I'm like, yeah. If I was gonna pick the 3 worst things that I could ever possibly see on the log of a druid, you managed to find all 3 of them.
So basically, if we get a new druid, we should show them those logs and be like, don't do
Don't do
this.
this.
This is bad. You do this,
Yeah.
we kick you.
I honestly don't know how to respond to something like that. Like, a 17% harmony uptime and then sub 50 life bloom?
Yeah, it was,
That's-
and seriously, most of their healing, and it wasn't even close. The vast majority of their healing came from healing touch, and I'm like, what is this?
I didn't even know that was possible on a druid.
Yeah, apparently it is.
Learn something new every day.
What is this? I don't even... Okay.
That's pretty much where I'm at right now, Winnie. Okay, then.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. He never came back after he posted asking for evaluation to log.
I
So I'm
wonder
thinking
why.
maybe he was the druid. I don't know.
Maybe.
And but I do have to think one thing a lot of people need to realize, especially when posting on the forums, you're gonna get trolls, yes, but if you get people who are really trying to help you,
Don't
Don't
bite them in the
attack
butt.
don't yell and fight them. They're trying to help you. Again, that comes from one of the threads that I just want to stress this point. We're trying to help, and we're trying to be nice. So when you're yelling at us and you're getting on our cases for trying to help you, it just makes us not want to help you anymore.
If it keeps on going, chances are we're going to start derailing their thread too.
Wasn't somebody
I got tired.
gonna do a dramatic reading of the worst?
I nominated Sup to do it,
We did it
but
last time.
Sup is sick, so now I don't want to do it anymore.
I really.
Because
We
I'm
can save it
sad.
for next time.
Well,
Yeah, that
you
person
know-
sent me in-game mail, too.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that was too funny.
Oh my god, really?
The person from that thread, they sent me in-game mail.
Saying what?
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Wait, they followed you to your.
They went to my server, made a character, and then sent me mail and then deleted the character. That's why I bumped the thread again. So I was like, okay, because, you know,
So what
you
did
hid
the
from
mail-
me.
What did the mouse say?
I'm gonna go check the mail real quick. But I did have someone whisper me right when the podcast started, that guy that started that thread about trying to find a PvP healing server, and I told him, and he's on Darkspear, he whispered me and was like, you were so nice in that thread, and I decided to stay on the server and go Alliance, and I'm having so much fun, and I wanted to tell you thank you. I was like, oh, you're so cute, I want to hug you.
Pats on head. Well, like I said last episode, we had somebody follow us to Airy Peak and look for Joe to join that guild just because they liked the show.
Which is awesome.
So, but I mean, logging on and getting a whisper from this person in my guild, oh my god, you're blah, 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 blah. I love your shits. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they did it to me when I logged on my priest. I was like, thanks.
See, that happened with me and LeBlue months ago before he joined the show. I'm like, that's weird. Not
What
bad
was
weird.
that?
When you started talking about, when you were on your priest, and you started talking about something about the podcast, about Mist not being on it, and I'm like,
About benching Mist, you mean?
Yes.
Methodology?
yes. And I'm like, I honestly did not know anybody had made the connection between the podcast and me. So I was like, a little, not in a bad way, but I was a little taken aback at first.
It's funny.
But
Alright, so
in a good
here,
way.
I went to my mailbox, and here's what they said. They said, just wanted to let you know that I expected more from the people on the healing forum, and I do look at logs. I just wanted a simple answer, and no one can give it to me, even though I, answered their question.
I
The
did
third post
answer
on
it.
it.
I
And you
said
did,
yes.
too. Everybody did. I did not originally start out trolling. I was serious about my question. I was serious up to the point where people weren't reading what I wanted. They were too busy telling me how I'm wrong and stuck up, dumb, and bad. I probably will go somewhere else for advice. No hard feelings, but expected more from you guys.
Well, he was the one that got up and defensive to start out with.
Yeah.
I think we all need to take a moment to, just let that sink in and be upset. Okay, moment's over.
Don't even
Yeah.
need a moment.
I feel deeply shamed. Yeah, whatever. Moving on.
Next topic. I don't even have a next topic. I just wasted
Tigers.
a segue.
What was that one? Oh my god, it was a disc priest one where they spelled heels with a Z at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
they
was
said-
too cute.
The
They
minute you
said we were ruling.
the minute you spell heels with a Z, your thread's officially over in my book.
Yeah.
And they were going to scrap me off their boot.
Oh, yeah. That, that was pretty fun.
It gets to a point, especially when your entire thread is about how elite you are and how you're better than it, and you're spelling heels with a Z. I'm sorry, your thread's over.
I made a new thread on the healing forums just now, just so you guys know.
Oh God,
I'm looking.
Oh no.
it hasn't come up for me. There's the healers with fun off specs thread.
I hate those threads because...
I do too.
Well, I don't particularly like any DPS off spec that much, but that aside, how
Blood
do I
DK going
know?
Frost. That's
Yeah.
the best one.
How do I know what people think
Yeah, how are we
is fun?
supposed to...
I'm not psychic.
So, what you do, if you're not sure what healer to pick, guys, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? If you like vanilla, you should be a priest. If you like strawberry, you should be a paladin. If you like mint chocolate chip, you should be a monk.
What about
What would Druid be?
I love mint
shamans?
chocolate chip.
Herbert?
Druids are sherbet.
Blueberry something.
Yeah, y'all are like blueberry.
Shaman, blue raspberry. Go with blue
Oh,
raspberry.
There we go.
Blueberry is
I'll accept
awesome.
that.
Okay, it
I
updated.
do like sherbet. But I also like vanilla, so I guess that works
mint
out.
chocolate chip.
Zero is a dreamsicle.
I'm a dreamsicle.
Yeah, you know, with the orange and the vanilla and the... I feel stupid now. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I just didn't know they were called dreamsicles.
Well, but I
Those
think
things
that's
are the
like
best thing ever. I used to eat
They
them all the
are.
time because they're only like 50 calories.
Okay,
Yeah, they're popsicles and ice cream at the same time. How can that be bad?
so back on topic. Anybody in the chat, if you have questions, we're still open to questions. So we covered PvP healing. We covered upgrading. We covered trinkets. We covered meters. We covered forum. I think that's pretty much everything in 5.3 and a little bit more.
Sup? What's your question?
Druid
Oh, you
buffs.
missed it.
We already talked about that stuff.
Yep.
The mushroom buffs, I guess.
Or do you mean buff specifically?
I think it means buff druids.
Buff all the things.
Poor Sup. That's what you get for being sick, noob.
Mm-hmm. More medicine.
Okay, here's one. Do you think Blizzard will go away from other roles interacting with healer abilities in the future, i.e. Mistweaver Mastery, Druid Shrooms, Lightwell?
Lightwell's been in the game for how long now?
Since
I
vanilla?
don't think that's
Well-
going away. I mean, they've iterated on it and made it better. That's what they've done, and I kind of see the same with unless they completely scrap the mastery, which is okay. I see that possibly happening next expansion, but I think they'll just keep kind of iterating to make it better.
I don't feel like they made Lightwell better. I feel like they made it more accessible to people who didn't know how to click.
Well, if you never used or had seen a Lightwell in vanilla, it is 150 billion times better than it used to be.
I feel so bad. Last expansion, I was doing a bear run, and someone said, I see these little yellow things all the time with priests. What are these? And I'm like, it's a Lightwell. What's a Lightwell? It's a Holy Priest erogenous zone. And he was like, I'm 12. What is this? And I'm like, go ask your mommy. I am so horrible.
Good job.
Excuse me as
Way
I
to
go
go,
die in a
Annie.
corner.
The thing about my Lightwell is, though, most of them, it's just going to confuse the younger audience.
They're not really out there and dirty. They're just a lot of innuendos that if you don't understand the joke to begin with, you're not going to understand it at all. Sup.
Hello.
Sup.
I came to answer this question. Hello. I don't think they'll ever move away from interactive healing. I actually think it's an interesting model of how to heal. It puts especially if you're a Mr. Monk and Glyph enduring healing spirits, your Mistweaver balls last for like 3.5 minutes. So they're like interesting. Like if you wanted to line it up, like there's a huge pulse, everyone runs out and hugs the balls. And full heals themselves. Like it's an interesting mechanic. It was a problem last patch when they didn't auto proc without the glyph. That was the problem because there was a lot of like wasted healing. But at least they are starting to introduce alternatives instead of just being completely dependent on players. But to answer your question, I don't think they'll ever move away from that model. I think it's what they'll introduce more, and it's an interesting model if they can implement it well.
Though, Sup, did you know that the green mastery balls from Mistweaver Monks actually hurt you?
I'm gonna die.
See, I feel like I'm weird in where I feel like the clickable Lightwell should be buffed.
I hate Light Spring. I absolutely despise it with a passion because by the time it hits, usually things are probably going downhill so fast it won't save anybody. Whereas, like if it's the clicking one and people can use it like preemptively, it does a little bit more to help. And
It feels
despise
lazy.
it. But if you don't have Light Spring, nobody clicks it, and it's like saying, "Well, I have a 15 charge health stone, yay!"
Yeah, and I've never been a really big fan of smart heals outside of Atonement and Fist Weaving, especially now that we're getting a trinket from Throne of Thunder that's spawning those little voodoo things, and they're absorbing my healing rain and chain heals.
Oh, Ghost Iron Dragonlings all over again.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
Yeah. Don't get me started.
Gnomes, more voodoo gnomes.
Yeah, I got into a LFR. 3 people in this LFR had the voodoo gnomes. 2, a Windwalker monk and 2 hunters. All those damn voodoo gnomes at the same time are just absorbing the chain heals that I'm trying to hit to get through a phase on Jinrock, on the Jinrock in LFR, and it's sitting there, and literally I'm watching my battle text, and it's like Voodoo no, Voodoo no. I'm like, stop it!
They did do something about that on 5.3 PTR, and it was extremely overpowered and was going to make Shamas the best healers in the game. There was something like, if you're, I think it was at 100, if you're at like max health, you didn't count towards the healing raid.
That happened in the first day of 5.3 too.
Yeah, that was, it was the dumbest thing in the world.
We talked about that as well, and like I said earlier, I was a god for one day.
No, that's not what it was, actually. That was healing rain being bugged. The actual thing on the 5.3 PTR was that if you were at 100% health, you didn't count towards the thing, so people more injured would take more healing, and that was the dumbest thing they ever could have done because it made that healing rain absolutely broken, and they removed that from the game.
Shami, I think what you're thinking of is there was a bug, and Vampiric Embrace suffered from this too. There was no diminishing returns.
I know what it was.
It was a bit different.
There was diminishing returns unless you had somebody with full health within the healing rain, and then diminishing returns just disappeared.
Yeah, that was kind of dumb, but I'm glad I didn't implement that because Shamans would have been really dumb.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. And it was the same thing where Chain Heal was actually, if it bounced to somebody that had full health, it would bounce again. So you were getting Chain Heals that are bouncing 6 or 7 times to heal people.
Yeah, would have been silly.
And I agree, it would have been, and I wouldn't have liked anything. Yeah, I think that's what we're saying about interactive healing, the Jerish, is that it gives you that reward for people who are actually thinking and looking for, Mistweaver orbs or stacking on Druid shrooms in certain points or clicking the light well over someone being like, pew 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 boss.
Like I said, if you're a monk and glisten during healing spirits, they can actually turn into a raid cooldown. If you're having like 20 plus balls around the raid, critting for 120k each.
Especially
I'm okay.
It's like a 200k heal, basically, potentially, anyway, for your entire raid, if people hit them.
I do have to say that for at least normal Ironclad, because all I'm doing at the moment is normals, I love my light spring for the tornado phase. That is sex on a stick, because, people are moving, you don't have to heal.
Winnie?
It's really nice. What?
Your accent is really coming through right now.
Sorry.
Sex on a stick.
It's pretty fun.
That was hilarious.
Because I wasn't here,
Yeah,
do I get to give my opinion of 5.3?
Yes.
Yes,
Sure.
you can. Go ahead.
Okay, this is what I think of 5.3. I think it was the dumbest patch I've ever done. I think the raid cooldown buffs are gonna make 5.4 really dumb. I think the druid buffs give druids false hope. I think the divine hymn buffs plus the revival buffs are gonna make holy priests and mistweavers about the same, depending on the content. If it's a lot of burst damage, I think holy priests might be better than mistweavers, and if it's a lot of just random spike damage, mistweavers might be better, but from the sounds of it, every single fight is going to be heroic will, but it's going to have like random burst sectors with a consistent pulsing damage, and I think that's a problem. What I think I need to do, this is something I was thinking about this last night for Resto Druids, they should, when a Resto Druid overheals, instead of it going to a mushroom, it should put a small little buff on them. And every time they take a little bit of damage, the buff explodes, so like a percentage of how much they overhealed. So like they have kind of actually like a cushion to the raid, because that's what a Resto Druid is supposed to be. Like you take damage and you get an instant little heal that heals you back up, and that'd be extremely powerful, and they can make that their mastery or whatever. Their mastery now, I don't even know what it does, but I think it's really good.
Every time you do a direct heal, it ups your hot healing for, I think it's like 16 seconds.
I think it's 20 now.
Or
It used to
20,
be
something
10.
like
They
that.
buffed it to 20 to make it a little easier to manage.
So regrowth, nourish, healing touch, shrooms, all of that stuff.
I think in 10 mans, next patch, Mistweavers are probably going to get nerfed, and they'll probably affect 25 men. Because if you're taking consistent pulsing damage and you can have renewing mists on 8 people, which is like 80% of your raid, it's going to be a bit silly. But it's interesting to see if it's actually like heroic will, where you actually like run around, or if it's just like all track scene where you stand still. And maybe I don't know. 5.4 is going to be a bit interesting, but I really hope it's not Dragon Soul 2.0. I really hope they actually make it Heroic Will 2.0 every single fight, because that fight was amazing. And this is just a thing. I don't know why they took away consistent pulsing damage. I don't know if any of you guys have done any fight, but the most memorable healing fights are ones where it has a lot of pressure from consistent pulsing damage. Like, can you name a fight you had fun on that doesn't have like a lot of pulsing damage? I can't think of one.
No, heroic. I mean, not heroic, but even just normal dragon Madness Deathwing when we're still somewhat undergeared was a lot of fun to 2-heal because it was a challenge and there was a lot of you had to be on your toes at all times.
Yeah, anything where people are going to be below 80% health is lots of fun for me. Like, when people are so close to full, I really feel bad for wanting to cast like prayer healing. There's no point. It just snipes up the druid's hots. It's a lot of fun for me. I
actually think they can balance pulsing damage now. They just have to balance it around spirit. Like, make the pulsing damage high enough to where the inverse spirit evade is actually pretty potent. And then, because you can balance your region around spirit and there's no outside things like revitalize, replenishment like there was in ICC.
And Dejere said, wouldn't that encourage bad healing, though, for rewarding overhealing? Overhealing, in my book, overhealing isn't what makes someone a bad healer. What makes you a bad healer is overhealing to an extent that you're wasting all of your mana doing it.
I think me and Mist are bad because we have like a billion overhealing. If you look at any Mistweaver, their overhealing is insane.
And it was the same.
I guess
it was the same way as pre-atonement nerf disc priests. You're having so much overhealing that you're coming from DPS. But when you go through and looking at druids and all that, a lot of and shamans and all these direct classes, a lot of our overhealing is because we're getting a paladin or a disc priest, an absorption class, absorbing the damage, so our throughput healing isn't as effective.
High classes always have overhealing.
That's part of the problem, but the actual real problem is that the fights aren't
just you,
well.
You're the
fights
real
aren't really.
so.
The fights aren't really well. Like
Admit it,
not. Okay, I'll wear this question. I'm bad, but I'm really bad. Mist is like 20 times better than me. But the real problem is that there's classes that have a ton of overhealing have no alternative to heal. Like Mistweavers have no alternative but to put Renewing Mist on cooldown. There's nothing else you can do, and there's nothing else you can do effectively. Restaurateurs have to spam Rejuve to be prepared for damage, so they'll just innately overheal. That's the problem. When you have paladins like classes like paladins and priests who can overheal and not really worry about it, and it goes into an absorption shield, that's the real problem. And by default, that makes that leads to a spiral where those classes just kind of suppress the healing, but they just kind of make the pre-planning that they did not really necessary. When you get into heroic modes, it does matter. Your disc is preventing damage, but a way you can combat healers overhealing so much is to drop healers. Like that's something you can do to combat it. But that involves kind of overgearing it, and not a lot of people can do heal stuff when it first comes out because it's new and hard.
And that extra healer gives you a little cushion if people make mistakes, which will happen during progression.
Yeah, when it's a hard fight and we're struggling, I love having absorbed classes with me to give me some space to breathe and be like, okay, I'm channeling Hymn of Hope, cover me. But when we're overhealing it, I'm like, I wish you would just, like, get the stomach flu or something, so I would have something to do tonight.
I mean, Josh, this is, like, Josh, if you remember when Furbala and I first two-healed Megara, and I think you and Sylvanas and Furbala, it was Sylvanas and Furbala thought I was crazy to even suggest it. It was challenging, but if you noticed, it was certainly doable, and both of our overhealing were relatively low. And I wasn't Disc Priest either. I was a Holy Priest. She was Resto Druid, and our overhealing was relatively low because we had the damage and we had the healers to match that damage a bit more properly than when we had her, I, and a Resto Shaman, where we were kind of overkilling it.
Yeah. Part of the problem that they did fix was that stuff like auto-procking DA and illuminated healing, which is still pretty dumb, might I add. Like, the fact that it's still a rest stat is something they need to fix. Anyway, that's besides the point. That stuff was scaling out of control, and it's high spirit scaling, which is something they need to fix, and trinkets like Hordon's Last Gasp and Legendary Meta Gem. There was nothing stopping classes like Holy Paladins literally just spamming, and just to stop damage, because what's the stopping? You're not going to go and you're putting an Absorb Shield on them. There's nothing stopping it. They need to stop making OP things like Hordons, which scales from haste, which I'll get to a point about Mistweavers and haste some other time, and the Legendary Meta Gem, which is just stupid innately. That healing is just gonna be like ICC healing, but you might go 20 minutes into the fight instead of never going And they just there's no real. What I was trying to get at is there's no real penalty for some classes to overheal, and there's no alternative for other classes. They have to do stuff in order to heal for raid damage. I hope that answers your question. I kind of lost track of it eventually.
Are you still talking?
When you look at overhealing, the first thing you should check is, are you when you need to have mana to heal? If you are not when you need to have mana, then you're fine. Don't worry about your overhealing. If you're when it matters, like on the 6th rampage of Megara or whatever, then you need to evaluate that. Subtract things that you can't help, like in my case, Echoes of Light, and then go, I'm at 40% overhealing before Echoes of Light on the first 3 heads. Perhaps I should throttle that just a little.
That's twofold, Winnie. Like if you're a class like a Resto Druid, you have to put like rejuves on everyone before Rampage, or a Mistweaver putting renewing mists on everyone. Like, overhealing does not matter at all. If you go and you have a ton of overhealing and you do like blah 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 HPS, then you've done your job. The problem is that either the DPS didn't kill it fast enough, or you don't have the gear. Overhealing is the dumbest thing, and you should never look at it ever. It's irrelevant. Like I said, some classes can't help their overhealing, and looking at overhealing doesn't help, even if you do go
I have to agree with Winnie. If you're going if you're going before points before you need it, then there's something you're doing wrong. If you're going during a point where you need to do intense healing, say 6 Rampage of Megara, that's different.
And so I agree, and I kind of sort of agree to extent into that. It will depend on what class you're playing as or with, because like a Holy Priest, where our only truly uncontrollable overhealing will be the Mastery Echo of Light or whatnot. A Holy Priest has almost complete and total control over all of their overhealing, and they should seek to minimize it, seeing as they're probably the only healer left that really scales with Spirit, and we have to kind of watch our actual mana bar, because it still exists for a Holy Priest. And obviously Mistweaver monks, Resto Druids, overheal's going to happen, but for other classes, and again, Holy Priest is the only one I can think of off the top of my head, you still do have to kind of watch your overhealing, and I seek to minimize it as a Holy Priest when I can.
Yeah, the only overhealing we should have is mainly from Echo of Light.
Save yourself for when you're needed. I'm like the holy hand grenade. Pull my pin, throw me in, fill all the green bars, and then I'm
Pretty much.
So, are you talking like healing abstinence?
Yeah, for the first couple of rampages, I'd have to make myself behave and not snipe all the hots and suck up all the healing, and
just
there's
let the
nothing
healing
for you to
cooldowns do
do.
what they're supposed to, you mean?
Yeah,
say it ain't so.
I have to let other people do their job, and I have to trust them.
But trusting is hard.
Like I tell people, unless you're on my real ID list, you are a derp until you prove me otherwise.
I will always be derp.
But you're a derp that I love.
Okay.
Aww.
There was an early. Oh, sorry. You can talk.
I was just going to say, guys, I have also some really bad, unfortunate, sad news.
Oh, God.
What?
Sad news. Milk Me Softly is no more.
No, her name got reported.
Yes, my name got reported, unfortunately. I am now a Sanpi, which is the Lakota Sioux word for milk.
I was about to say, I don't know what that is, darling, but it sounds delicious.
I think that requires more of a moment of silence than whatever we were having a moment, or the Vero's mail from earlier does.
That's alright, I need more coffee.
So please, everyone bow your head for a moment of silence that Milk Me Softly is no more. Okay, anyway, we have 10 minutes left. Are there any other questions from chat?
Shut up, I'm still depressed.
Oh, we love you, Milk. We love you long time. We really should be rating this R.
Yeah, we all got kidnapped by Morin.
I am kidnapped queen.
You did kidnap a lot of us. It's quite funny.
I'm good at kidnapping people. I may have... Oh yeah, I kidnapped LeBlue too.
How'd you kidnap me?
I didn't get kidnapped.
I got your rogue in the guild, did I not? Yes,
You did.
I did. Therefore,
Oh, okay.
I
Blue,
kidnapped
admit it. You want to stop raiding with your guild and bring your monk over.
Side note, LeBlue is like the funniest person. You should all watch him when he raids. It is amazing. I cannot control my laughter when he rages at his guild. Both his guilds.
And the thing is,
It's amazing.
he doesn't.
That's pretty.
He doesn't cuss. He rages, tell people he's glad that they died to an avoidable mechanic, and then starts guzzling beer. That is how you rage, Blue. That really is.
I hate you guys.
I think it's funny that he doesn't
Yeah,
swear, but
you
he
do.
actually like. I think it's funny he doesn't swear, but he pretends swears more than I swear. It's scary.
And then he gets to this point of the night where he has so much beer in his system that he starts stripping on stream.
I don't think I've actually done that. I've threatened to do that, but I've never actually done that. Oh no, actually I did, didn't I? I took off my hoodie that I was wearing, and then I stripped down to a t-shirt.
It's funny because he sits there and it's like, I'm watching his stream, he's like, don't make me strip, Shammy, and I'm like, you really think that's a threat to me?
And then I
Let's
did.
all make a point to piss him off.
Yeah, we need to. I need to catch that. I've been watching a lot of Mist streams lately, but nobody strips in his. So
Mist doesn't even have a face cam.
No, he doesn't. It's no
I
fun.
watch Mist stream and I just stare at that little thing that he's overlay. I just stare
Yeah,
at it.
it like distracts me.
It stares at you. It's watching you at all
I
times.
mean, I'm supposed to watch his stream because he's another quality Mistweaver monk, but I just stare at that.
Watch Blue stream. He's a quality Mistweaver monk sometimes.
I spend all my
Sometimes.
time watching Mist stream, going, "What the fuck was that just killed everybody?" Because I don't do heroics.
Don't ever watch Shammy streams. I'm in there too often.
More of a reason to watch them.
No.
I just realized he's been streaming our D3 runs.
Yes.
Oh man, I'll stream some D3, man. Effing
So,
Demon Hunter Glass Cannon build.
for the last 7 minutes, we just want to reiterate, June 21st, we're doing a 24-hour charity stream here on the Out of Mana channel. We're going to have a variety of streamers for a variety of different points of view, but you get to listen to all of us, plus some of our friends and some guests talk and play video games for 24 hours. We're still waiting to hear back from the charities, one of the charities that we contacted about doing this, but we'll have more info for that later. But it is for a good cause. It's for helping kids. I mean, who doesn't want to help kids?
Yeah.
Think of the children.
I love kids.
I'll think of the children as I'm playing copious amounts of video games that are probably unhealthy for me.
But you're not a child anymore, and you're in charge of your own life.
Right, that's why I drink lots of energy drinks, sleep 20 hours a day, and don't do anything.
You don't sleep
What
20
I
hours
love-
a day. You're online for 20 hours a day.
What I love, and I've noticed, that the gaming community is actually really, really charitable.
Yes.
It really, I did a stream. I said 12 hours. It didn't hit that. I ended up having to babysit siblings. 9 hours. And within that 9 hours, we raised, for my friend's cousin, we raised about $250. Just from people. And this is from people that were just friends of mine who who play video games that I play games with, or I talk to in chats, or I mumble, or do these things with. And they don't even know. They didn't know my friend. They didn't know his cousin, but they still were nice enough to reach into their pockets and donate a little bit to help this little girl out.
And when we hit the $400 mark, we got to watch Shammy's stream. What was the game?
Amnesia.
It was fabulous and awesomely funny, and we need to watch it again.
And I think I need to pop in to y'all's 24-hour charity stream, because I guarantee you somebody out there will pay me to shut the hell up.
Did somebody just link us to a PayPal?
I have no idea.
I'll talk to you in game, Ian. I'll hop into Joe's Mumble and when we're done this and talk to you about it.
Okay, before we wrap up, does anyone have any horror stories from recent?
I told mine earlier.
I'm leveling my baby panda on Miss Server so I can stalk him. And I got into a group, my first one, Dead Minds, all 4 pallies, all of them had Righteous Fury on. Wait, what?
Did they all like have the same name except for like the last letter or number? And they're like all like linked together, kinda?
Well, I can't remember, but I do know that at least for once I didn't have healing aggro.
No, because everybody else had the aggro.
Oh, man.
I
I'm
have
leveling...
a horror story.
Go ahead.
This priest in my current raiding guild, he is a very horrible person. He tells everyone in the raid group to click off renewing mist. So one time, we were doing Iron Con, and one of the head smashes, everyone clicked off the renewing mist, and I couldn't do anything. And you should have heard me cry.
Poor stuff. That's so mean. That gives me an idea, though, since I heal the monk.
I send hugs your way.
Also, just going back to the charity stream, because I didn't get to finish.
Sorry.
If you guys want to do anything with us, LFRs, Diablo, we'll probably be
Monopoly.
playing some Monopoly. There's going to be some Mass Effect 3. There's going to be... League of Legends. I think we might try and see if we can get 10 people and play ARAM against each other. I'm thinking about seeing if I can get my friend and I to help me build a Minecraft PvP arena just for that. So we're doing a whole bunch of things. Just let us know if you want to, join in. Send us battle tags, what you want to join in on. Email us at oompodcast@gmail.com. You can post on our Facebook page. You can tweet us, and I'm hoping Vera's linking these things as I talk.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
I linked the post.
You want to link Twitter and all that? Facebook.
That has everything in it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So, you can just do that there. Just let us know what you want to do and anything. And if you have some ideas for games that you want us to play or things in WoW you want us to do or anything like that, let us know too.
Amnesia.
I will play Amnesia if we raise a certain amount of money, depending on the charity. You don't get Amnesia unless we raise a certain amount of money.
Also, go back to the point
we will
that
raise money
Shammy
just for
said.
that reason.
Go back to the point Shammy said. If you're having trouble finishing Shammy, you can get help for that.
He subs.
Goblin says Amnesia has to be the first and last thing you do.
Amnesia will be if we raise a certain amount of money.
I think Shammy will die when he gets to the harder parts of Amnesia.
What's Amnesia? I'm clueless.
It's a horror game.
Horror thriller
I
game.
forgot.
It scares me shitless because I hate the games that are first person and then you have these things jumping out at you.
Oh, so it's like, what's Dead Space, I think it's called?
It's not like I can play Dead Space because I have a gun. The only thing you really have in Amnesia is a lantern, and you don't even have unlimited light. In Dead Space, I can jump and then shoot the thing in the face. It's more like Slenderman, Slenderman, if you ever played that. But I think that's about it, everybody. Any last minute questions before we sign off?
Can I have a pony?
Can I have a tiger? Oh wait, I have
Can
four
I
already.
have
Tigers
a
have
fairy
been
dragon?
nerfed.
Tigers are 5'2". The new thing is porcupines. Get with it, little blue. Jesus.
No, I have
Yeah.
4 tigers. I will not abandon them.
They're all little kittens now.
Get with the times, bro.
Nerfed.
Nerfed to the ground.
Porcupines
They're
are
not
flavor of the
viable.
month.
Yes, porcupines are for fight. Tigers are nerfed. They're not viable.
Next expansion, I expect it to be penguins.
Penguins would be kind of awesome.
I wouldn't mind that.
Penguin
I have
pets?
I have a
How
penguin
awesome
T-shirt
would that be?
and pajama pants on right now.
I would
I love you.
roll. I would roll a hunter if they could have penguin pets.
That would be so cool.
I have penguin pajama pants on too.
Hello Kitty or get the fuck out.
I'm not
Little Kitty
quite
Island
that
Adventure.
gay.
Hello Kitty Island Adventure. That's what the moderators to play. They suck.
You already follow all of us, Goblin. How's that work? Okay. Bye, everybody. And remember, I have to bring up today's saying because I didn't memorize it.
And remember, don't touch the green balls. They hurt. And
In
sarcasm.
sarcasm.
Bye, everybody.
Bye!
Good night.
Bye.
Don't touch the light well.
Always
touches
touch